everybody, it's me, Lord, and I'm a new creator, so I thought maybe you guys would care about my opinions on all of the Pokemon games. I've been playing for a few years, but I have played all of them on this list, and I'm joined by a good friend of mine and fellow YouTuber, Pillsbury68.
Hey guys, what's up?
He's played, not all of these, but some of them, so he'll provide his input as we go along to the ones he played. So we're just going to go down the line here and start with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now, I think these are the best remakes. I don't really consider Emerald and Platinum remakes. They're more third enhanced versions. Um, and I know that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl are obviously the worst. We'll get to that later. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver are in contention, and a lot of people think they're the best, but I don't think so. I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are the best because they keep what people loved about Hoenn and just enhanced it a bit more. So I'm going to put these games in A tier. They are not going to be ordered within the tier. It's just going to be what's in the tier. That's what it is. I don't want to have to go through all that. Next we have Black 2 and White 2. Now, hot take. A lot of people don't like Unova. And these are the worst selling games in the series. Or Crystal might be worse. But these are my favorite games. Where's White 2 there? I think that they have the best regional decks for team composition. I think they have one of the better stories. Obviously, Black and White are really good, but I do think Scarlet and Violet are better and have the best stories. And Scarlet and Violet are not on this tier list, but I would probably put them in A tier. I think they're pretty good games, barring all of the technical issues and things like that. I don't know, Pillsbury, what do you think?
I think Scarlet and Violet definitely deserve at least a B tier, if not an A tier. I enjoy playing through the games the first time, and I'm going to enjoy the post game too. They do, like you said, have some technical difficulties and stuff like that, and a lot of glitches and bugs. But I think with the story and the new Pokemon and all that, we can kind of leave those aside.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Next we have Black and White. Now for a while, these were my favorite before I played Black 2 and White 2, and I do think they go in A tier because for a while they did have the best story until Scarlet Violet, at least in my opinion, and they do to me get a lot of hate. Unova I think is the most underrated region because it gets a lot of flack because it does have the most, which means there are the most bummers. Like I don't hate Pokemon like Garbodor or Vanillix, but a lot of people do. But it also has some really good ones like Zebstrika or Excadrill. So I think the good outweighs the bad when it comes to Unova games. So I have them pretty high regard.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that. I also agree that Unova is very underrated. I find them pretty good. Maybe they're not necessarily my favorites, but they are good games. Yeah, that's all I have to say really about that.
next we have Red and Blue, and these are the games that started it all. But Red and Blue are definitely the most broken games. With the 100% horn drill, how fast is the speed on those games because of all the technical issues. And they were the first, so they do get a pass for something like that. But I do think that replaying them now, I would never replay Red and Blue. I replay Fire Red and Leaf Green, or maybe Let's Go. So because of that, I will put them I will put them in B tier. And I'll just do Yellow because we're talking about it. Yellow is the best way to play it because of the enhancements, like Charizard actually learns Fly in that game, and I just think Yellow is the most optimal way to play a Gen 1 Kanto game. But if you're going to play through Kanto, I suggest playing any other version. um, and next we have Gold and Silver. I think Johto is okay. I think Gold and Silver are nothing special. I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver are better, but we'll talk about that later. So we'll put Gold and Silver in Crystal too, because I haven't actually played Crystal. But I've played both of these, and I think they're just kind of okay. The inclusion of Kanto, in the post game is pretty cool because it obviously has the biggest post game, and it was meant to be the finale of Pokemon before it took off. But I think it's pretty overhyped, and it has, in my opinion, the worst regional decks, which is why so many Pokemon in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum got those new evolutions because they were just so bad. Next up, we have Diamond and Pearl. Now, Diamond and Pearl are okay for what they are. Obviously, they're very slow games, and looking back on them, I would never play Diamond and Pearl because of all of the obviously them being slow, a pretty not good regional decks with only two fire types and way too many water types. But if you're playing through a Gen 4 Sinnoh game and you play Platinum, which in my is the definitive way to play through Sinnoh, it has the best regional decks out of all of them. Um, Allows more stuff just to make sense, like Fantina being the third gym leader to me, just going that way. Um, I think Giratina is the coolest of the three, but that doesn't really factor into it. But I just think Platinum is the most defined Sinnoh game. Plus, it has the Battle Frontier, and everyone loves the Battle Frontier. Speaking of that, Emerald again, great game. Uh, these are interchangeable, Emerald and Platinum. Even though I said I wasn't ranking them within the tier, um, Emerald is, in my opinion, the definitive way to play through Hoenn, and that doesn't mean Ruby and Sapphire are bad. We'll put them in A tier, but Emerald has just everything is enhanced, everything's better. It's the same thing with Emerald and Platinum. Everything about the games, which were good already, are just better. And there's not much to say about them that I can say about those. So
I'd also like to add about the Sinnoh games. You mentioned it, the two fire Pokemon, that really brought that in the decks. That really brought it down. Brought the games, at least Diamond and Pearl, down for me. I like Platinum much better than the two, but yeah, that they all three of them that kind of brought it down for me.
mm. Now, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl also are not on this list, but I would put them in the bottom tier, D tier. I love all Pokemon games; they're all really fun, but they are my least favorite just because of they are more remasters than remakes. They were advertised as Diamond and Pearl remakes, and that is what we got. But I know all of us were really hoping more of a Platinum style, because yes, the regional dex is the same as Diamond and Pearl, but you can get Pokemon from the Platinum dex in the Grand Underground, but you can't evolve them. So yeah, you can get your Gligar in the Grand Underground, but you can't evolve it until the post game, which is stupid because in Platinum you can get it before. So we got what we were told. We just had higher expectations. And Legends Arceus also is not here, but I would put that in S tier. I think it is one of the best Pokemon games. I really changed up the formula, and I think they should make more Legends games. Other than that, next we'll have Fire Red and Leaf Green. The definitive way to play through Kanto, in my opinion. Red, Blue, and Yellow, like I said, are two buggy messes that I would never come back to them. And Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are good, but they're obviously for a more casual audience. They're here to bring Go into the mix, so I'll put those in B tier. They're a fun time, but the no wild battles is a bit jarring. It's pretty trivially easy with the XP share, which goes for all post Gen 6 games, or post Gen 5 rather, having the group XP share, but mainly post Gen 6 because you can't turn it off in those games. So I think they're good, but Fire and Leaf Green are the best, with Sevi Islands in the back and just being the best way, in my opinion, to play through Kanto, and a good starter Nuzlocke game too. I think Fire and Leaf Green are the best games to do a first Nuzlocke in. Now we have Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Very good games. First with following Pokemon. A lot of people think it's the best Pokemon game. I think they're good. I don't think they're the best. I think there's an argument for them to be an S tier, but I personally put them in A tier. I think they're good. They're very much improvements on Johto and the best way to play through Johto. But there's nothing they can fix really about the already pretty bad problems of Gold and Silver with the bad regional decks. Gym leaders not having Pokemon from their region, like the 5th gym leader has 2 Pokemon, and it has none of them from Johto. They're all from Kanto, and just the weird level curve. And the red fight is cool, which goes for Gold and Silver as well. But if you're not completing the decks and that big level jump, it can get a bit jarring. But I think they're good. Next we have Sun and Moon. In my opinion, the most overhated games. I really like Alola. I think it was a fresh change of pace after X and Y, because X and Y was kind of just your textbook Pokemon game with the evil team, but it got a bit out of hand. And I really like Team Skull. I think Sun Moon story is pretty good, but I think Alola gets a lot of hate that doesn't deserve. Same goes for Unova, but Unova gets a lot more. But I do like Sun and Moon. But I do think their successors, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, are better games in every way. Just the enhancements, Ultra Necrozma, the more Pokemon that can be found. It's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are some of the hardest games, if not the hardest in the series, especially to Nuzlocke with the Ultra Necrozma fight. All of the Akala Island Titans, or sorry, totems, those are all very hard because the hardest one, Sun and Moon, went to the easiest on that island. Um, but Ultra and Ultra Moon are my second favorite because they were my first, and so that's obviously a lot of nostalgia with that. But I think they're close to perfect Pokemon games. Not as good as Black and White, but I like them a lot.
I
Next,
agree, they are pretty good.
yeah. Next we have X and Y, which I'll put at the. Mm, I'll put them in. I'll put them in B. X and Y get a lot of hate, and I kind of see why. They're pretty easy games with the addition of that the experience share being for your whole team. The gym leaders are none of them are really that tough because the final gym leader only has 3 Pokemon, which is unacceptable. The same goes for Unova. Final gym leader should not only have 3 Pokemon; they should have at least 4 or 5. But I think Unova just does a lot more things better. Um, and the like Team Flare is the worst evil team we've had. They don't make a lot of sense. None of them are memorable. And then you kind of get no Team Flare for a bit, and then you get 3 Lysander fights within an hour, um, which is kind of stupid. It's weird pacing in X and Y, so I think they're okay. And finally, we have Sword and Shield. Now, I am a bit biased because these were my first new release games. Also, and Ultra were my first games I played, but Sword and Shield are the first games I got on release day. And I like them. I'll put them in B tier. I do think they're a bit above average. Like if I was ranking these numerically, they would be just above the middle spot. I think that if you take out the DLC, it's completely different ranking because they are obviously more complete with that. I think the Crown Hunter is really fun, but now I'm just talking about the DLC. But let's talk about the base game. Galar is a bit linear when you're not in the wild area. There's only 10 routes, and it's clearly just a circle around each part you go through. Um, and I'm not a fan of the getting rid of the Elite Four in there. The actual tournament at the end. I prefer the Elite Four. It's more of a challenge. But I do think Sword and Shield is some of the most underrated new Pokemon. I don't see a lot of people talk about the new Pokemon added in Sword and Shield, and I think they're pretty cool, most of them, anyways. Uh, but the wild area is very cool. It was obviously like a early test for what Legends Arceus would become or what Scarlet Violet would become. But I think it does a good job, especially with the Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor also being demo wild areas, but more actual open world because the whole thing is open world rather than Galar just having that one part. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah. So Sword and Shield were my first Pokemon games that I played through. So they're a little bit higher on the list in my eyes because they're the first games I played through, and I think they're great. Again, like you said, the Pokemon are underrated severely. Like there's a bunch of cool ones in there: Corviknight, Boltund, Dreadnought, Graplox, just name a few. I think they were a good start to my Pokemon journey, I guess you could say. And the wild area was a cool little teaser, I guess, to Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, as you kind of had to restate what you already said in the before.
Mm. And that does it. So I'll go over quickly what we have. In D tier, we have Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, even though you can't see them. I mentioned it throughout the video. C tier, we have Gold, Silver, Crystal, Diamond, and Pearl. B tier is Sword, Shield, Red, Blue, Yellow. Let's go. Both Let's Go games. Sun and Moon, and X and Y. In A tier, we have Fire Red, Leaf Green, Black and White, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Ruby, Sapphire, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Scarlet and Violet, even though they aren't on here. And Black 2 in S tier, we have Black 2, White 2, Platinum, Emerald, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Legends Arceus, which is not on here. So thank you all for watching. I hope this helped you get to know me and would you would want to like and subscribe for it. I make cool new videos. I have a guide on where to find all the X Titans in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm working on a video where I shiny hunt for 12 hours in Scarlet and Violet. I've already got them cool shinies, and I'm probably about to get another one soon. So hopefully you'll come back for that.